Washington, D.C. is no stranger to scandals, but the confluence of recent stories of Secret Service agents cavorting with prostitutes, the General Services Administration, the GSA, their employees spent that lavish weekend in Las Vegas on the taxpayers' dime. All of this is putting the spotlight on congressional oversight, and that is where our next guest comes in. Congressman Darrell Issa, chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, joins us live from the Capitol. Welcome to In Business. Where to begin? Let's start with the Secret Service. We know at least a dozen Secret Servicemen are under investigation. We've had departures. Can you update us on where that probe stands right now?
Well, the probe continues to expand. Obviously, you have the 12 Secret Service agents, at least 11 members of the military, and an internal investigation going on that we're looking at the White House, remembering that for the hundreds of outside security, there also were a very large amount of White House and State Department people also there on what is turning into a little bit more of government gone wild activity.
Well, it's not clear yet how some of these Secret Servicemen actually paid for the prostitutes. Do you have any indication as to whether they use their per diem expenses, essentially government dollars?
Well, as you know, all monies are fungible, but under the law, per diem is not usable for any of those sort of things. So when they turned in what they spent their money on, they could not have included it. I think the important thing here, though, is the risk to national security of bad behavior and bad judgment, whether it's by the Secret Service, the military, State Department, or White House employees, has to be called into question, because these individuals from time to time are going to have access to some very sensitive information. We want to make sure they're not the subjects of any sort of foreign oversight, if you will, as a result of their past conduct they'd like to not have made public. In this case, we certainly can be sure it will be made public.
When it comes to your other big probe right now, going into the GSA, do you have any clarity yet on who can actually come in and provide consistent leadership to try to clean up that organization?
Well, very clearly, it wasn't Martha Johnson who was on her second stint there. She'd been chief of staff, and even in our hearings talked about entitlements for bonuses for Jeff Neely, somebody who she already knew had ripped off the government and wasted countless dollars. So we're looking at the acting director, and administrator, and we're also looking to say they've got a clean house of political appointees who were involved directly or indirectly in this. And that includes the chief of staff, who obviously knew, reported to the White House, and then did nothing for 11 months as this scandal was unreported.
When you say clean house, you're calling for the dismissal of the chief of staff. How many other individuals?
Well, I think that every political appointee who had any knowledge of this kind of ongoing waste, and by the way, that includes the trips to Hawaii, the ribbon cuttings, the whole idea that there would be as many as 10 trips on the taxpayers to go look at Vegas. I think you have to hold all the political appointees accountable. And let's remember, political appointees are put in, very, very special. They bypass all the normal systems. They're not confirmed. They're put in order to make sure that you've got the president's eyes and ears. If they reported to the White House and the White House did nothing, shame on the White House. But even if they didn't report to the White House, we still have to say, why weren't they doing the job of protecting the American people? Political appointees cost a lot of money to the taxpayers if they're not only not reducing, but giving awards for bad behavior. They've got to go.
Will any of those funds be recouped?
A very small amount. Sadly, in government, when your government officials, whether career or political appointees, when they waste your taxpayer dollars, there's no recouping it. There will be a few $1,000s of actual theft we'll get back. And, of course, likely everyone who has committed even a small criminal offense, in this case, will be held accountable and hopefully send a message to the rest of government that it is a crime to waste taxpayers' money. And as you know, we've sent out letters to 23 other agencies where we're going to look at conferences and travel from end to end. And Senator Tom Colburn plans on ensuring that at least 20% of government travel is cut, something that the president's own commission recommended but has never been put in the president's budget.
I want to also ask you, sir, while I have you here, the ranking member on your committee, Congressman Cummings, will be joining us shortly, has called for Walmart executives to appear on Capitol Hill to answer questions about those allegations of bribery in Mexico. Will you be doing the same, and what should be happening with that probe?
Well, Margaret, you know, we're the Government Oversight Committee, so our nexus to any kind of calling the private sector in, especially when there's criminal allegations, fines, and the like ongoing, is not just to get headlines. It's if there is a real nexus to government. So will I look at the forces around the world that are causing people to violate the Foreign Corruption Act? Am I looking at whether or not we're adhering to the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act? Absolutely. But I don't think that calling in Walmart just so you can beat up the private sector is appropriate. I think they're going to be beat up pretty good for what appears to be, as reported at least, a $24 million series of bribes to get their stores open faster in a country that is known for delay and corruption. It's not surprising, but it's not right.
Should Congress be probing this? The DOJ and the SEC already are.
Well, we have a role because we passed the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, I believe the name was, some years ago. We have a role to review that, to find out how it's implemented, whether it's fair, whether government is doing its job. But again, we're very busy in Washington with a corrupt government, with a government that I said more than a year ago was perhaps, because of the money, because of the amount of TARP and stimulus funds, was going to be the most corrupt government in history, and it's proving to be that, just exactly that. This money going through at the American people's expense, going through the hands of political leaders, is in fact corrupting the process, whether it's Solyndra or GSA or a number of other scandals. That's our mandate. Our mandate is to go after the wrongful acts of government or to review for reorganization laws already passed. In the case of Walmart, they're going to be punished under existing laws. If we review Walmart or other foreign activities, it has to be to look at government's role, not at simply hauling people in because it makes good headlines.
All right. Sir, thank you very much for making time today. Appreciate it.